Hello, everyone. Welcome to Raw, Hard, and Real. I'm here today with a very special guest, Toza. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you, man. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. I'm good. We were talking before, but I had a little emergency, and I had to go to the doctor, but everything is okay, so I'm relieved right now, and we can have this podcast as scheduled, because I was really afraid that I was going to miss it today, and I was like, oh, fuck. And I know that with the Australian time, it might be a lot more difficult to set a date,
100%.
right?
I agree, man. And I was looking forward to it too, man, because I've been wanting to be a guest on a podcast because I ran my own podcast with my best friend, Philip, for a bit. It would be nice to be on the other side of the mic. So that I was looking forward to it. And when you hit me up and said, hey, I'm feeling a bit sick. One, I was a big concern for you being sick, but also I really wanted to get this done. So I'm glad we're here making it happen, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to start actually by with your podcast, because I actually saw a lot of TikToks. I don't know how long ago, but it was quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But where did you get this idea? How did you start it? Why did you stop? What were the difficulties that you were finding while doing the podcast? I would like to know how was your experience doing it?
Okay, so first of all, how did I get the idea? First of all, myself and my friend wanted to create something that would represent the hardstyle scene, but the whole idea originally started by me just writing down one of my goals for, I think it was 2022, of hosting my own podcast, just to sort of showcase the Australian scene. But at the beginning, it wasn't that. It was just having a podcast. And, I wanted to find someone to co-host it with me because I didn't want to just do it by myself. So I wrote down the idea, put it aside for a bit. And then one day I was just discussing it with one of our close mates, Vux, who was the co-host of the podcast. And I was like, maybe we should start something that's, music related. We can showcase, the Aussie scene and also individual people that are part of the Aussie scene, and see what their view is on the music, their journey, and all the stuff that, compiles to their journey. And, we came up with the name, The Scene Down Under, because obviously Australia is down under. And I was just one day in the shower and I was like, you know what? All the good ideas usually start with the shower. So I was like, maybe we can just make it The Scene Down Under. What was that? So I pitched the idea to Vux, and he said, yeah, let's do it. And we have our friend Ben, who's also one of our close mates. He's also a videographer. So shout out to Ben Beekson. He was willing to invest in podcast equipment for us to use, and we just kicked it off. I think the first person we had was Audio Freak. We had the chance to interview him and have a nice chat with him. So we found, I messed up the whole story, by the way. So before all this, before we invested in our own podcast studio, we found a studio that we could use. So I pitched the idea to my friend. My friend found a podcast studio that we could use. It was a 30-minute drive from our place. And, we decided to hit up, Audio Freak. We locked in the dates and we started doing it regularly at that specific place. And then eventually what happened was, the person who was hosting us had a fallout with his partner that they owned the podcast studio together. And unfortunately, this was the first hiccup that we had where we had to find our own place. And that's when Ben came in and started, the whole investing in the podcast equipment and letting us, be able to continue this project we had. And also shout out to my other best friend, Naveed. He has a warehouse space, for his family business, and he has an office space upstairs that's unused. And, he gave us a space to basically use it. So, Philip and Naveed, mostly Philip, worked on decorating the place and making it a bit more presentable, painting the walls, getting some couches in, setting up a nice space for us. And that's when you see the episode scene started to change, because that's when we started using that space. And, it kicked off pretty good at the beginning. I think we did about 20 episodes. Some of them were episodes in the Netherlands when we came here. And, eventually we started to become super busy with our own life, my music career, Philip also had his own, busy period where he had to work on some personal stuff. And, we kind of just became too busy to run it again. And, we decided to just put a pause on it at the beginning. And then when we wanted to go back and started doing it, we just realized it's really not worth it. But it was a fun project. I'm glad we started it. We learned a lot about each other as friends. We learned a lot about other people, their journey. And, so it was really cool.
Nice. Actually, your podcast was one of my main motivations when I started doing this podcast, because it was only one of the few podcasts that I found about art style. So it was nice to see someone doing it. And, it motivated me. I said like, okay, they're doing it, then maybe I can do it. So I started first with a lot of Spanish producers. And well, right now I'm also interviewing more international artists, which is what my main goal. But yeah, it's actually quite difficult at first to get the artists to join to the podcast. But I see as more episodes are released, then I don't know, it starts getting easier and easier. But I don't know, it's difficult, but it's satisfactory. Well, and haven't you thought about maybe doing it, I don't know, like when you're not that busy, doing a bunch of episodes and then maybe releasing them like from time to time or something like that? Like not having to do it on a weekly basis, or maybe, I don't know, I think it would feel kind of special if you do it, like maybe all of a sudden you start releasing episodes and then stop. I don't know, it's still I think that it would still be kind of magical.
Yeah, no, that would be amazing, man. And look, honestly, the idea is still there, locked in. It's not completely deleted. We still have the YouTube channel. We still got everything set in place if we ever wanted to pursue it again. But yeah, like you said, it's a bit hard at the beginning. We were just lucky. Like I know quite a few artists that I've met in the industry. So that also helped us a lot, because at the end of the day, we're super active in the Australian scene, super active in the international scene, by like, not mainly music wise, but like we actually have met a lot of artists along the way and, just became friends with them, not for the sole purpose of like, using them in the future, but more like just creating that bond and friendship and building that trust that, hey, if I was to approach them about something one day, it kind of works because we already have that like relationship and the trust built. And look, we did do most of our episodes were like, we either do like, for example, 3 episodes in one weekend or 4, just really depending on like artist availability or any guest. Doesn't have to be an artist, because we didn't really want to limit ourselves to like just artists. We wanted to do people that are part of this Australian scene or the hard dance scene. So there's actually a few episodes that we still have that we did with different demographics of people that are part of the scene. But unfortunately, like, it's a bit difficult. Like this is actually pretty good what you're doing now, where like you have this app that I didn't even know about. And it makes it super easy. You don't actually have to be live in front of each other. And it actually gave me ideas before I joined this that maybe we can make this work in the future, right? And unfortunately, some of the episodes, like we lost audio, we lost one camera angle, and there was just a bit of difficulties that happen and things that you can't control, bro. When you're using devices and stuff that have corrupted audios, that's when you're like, oh shit, And it started to happen quite often, and that also kind of demotivates you, because like you just wasted the guest's time, which is a very important thing. You just wasted like almost 2 hours of your time trying to make this work, talking, getting some good really points across and stuff, just for you to find out that the file has been corrupted or like you lost the camera angle. Like we did a couple of episodes in Europe too that had issues where we lost like 30 minutes of one camera, but we still tried to make it work. There's another episode that we did with Yorick from Scantrax, which we couldn't release because we lost like his camera angle. We lost some of the audio footage. It's super difficult, man. Like these things you can't control, but at the end of the day, like you can't just sit there and give excuses all the time. So we just decided like, hey, let's just put a pause on it. It's too stressful. We got other things to like focus on at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I completely understand that. Yeah. And it can be really frustrating. I haven't had that. I mean, it has happened to me even with this app. Like sometimes maybe the audio wasn't really synced. So, but you can still work it out. There's only like probably 2 interviews that I couldn't release, and I have recorded around 110, but only 2 haven't worked. But at least it's reliable. Like I can trust it like
That's good.
most of the time, so it's not that frustrating. But yeah, I completely understand that. If I get like a corrupted audio or video, and then it's like, oh my god, but I just used all this time and the guest time, which is probably
it's the most important, because I'm pretty sure the guest is as like looking forward to have this episode out as much as we are. And yeah, unfortunately these things happen, man. And at least you have a 98% success rate, which is good. we had like a 80 or 75% success rate, which is horrible. yeah,
that's true.
And until this day, man, like I meet up with people randomly, and they always ask, "Hey, man, like when's the next episode coming out?" And it kind of just breaks my heart, because I'm just like, look, man, we're just so busy, and it's a lot of issues because people just want the finished product with everything in life, right? They just want finished product. They want to come in, watch whatever episodes it is, but they don't understand that there's a lot of like process. There's a big process that goes behind doing things,
Yes.
And yeah, it is what it is, kind of thing. But hey, the idea is still there. I think, like I said, with all these technology now, like even, because we'll get to it later, but I'm planning to move to Europe too. And yeah, so it's going to be really good for me to actually do something like this in my spare time with my best friend, and just like make it happen again, man. Because it's pretty simple, man. You just link, join, good audio and stuff, and you just have to not worry about it.
Yeah, and I actually also have another software, which is from Adobe, which enhances the audio. So even if the audio it's kind of lame, it will get a lot better by this.
Yeah, look, AI can fix anything these days, you know what I mean? So yeah.
It gets easier. So then I hope I can find another episode it's soon.
I hope so too, man. I hope so too.
Okay, so you were talking about that you're planning on coming to live to Europe. So, but I do know that Australia has a big scene. I want to know a little bit more, and why would you decide to come here, and how is the scene right now in Australia?
Okay, so I believe that the scene in Australia at the moment is super healthy in terms of like I said, we're a big country, but the scene looks so much bigger than it is, right? While we have all these parties and all these announcements that happen often, for a local DJ, artist, producer, however you want to call it, to break through in the Australian scene, you have to cater for the the vast majority of people, right? So there's only like one person, in my opinion, who broke through and became someone who can sustain living off music in Australia, which is Colin Henners. I don't know if you're familiar with Colin Henners, but he's the guy with the mullet. He does all these TikToks, and he's like, shout out Colin, one of my really good friends. I believe what he's doing is like the only way you can break through into the Australia scene and be able to make a living out of it. Because at the end of the day, like someone who's passionate on music, you don't want to just still work a full-time job and do all these gigs and stuff like that. And it's super limited too, because like we have a few states that do music, some are bigger than other, but also like within Sydney itself, like because we're not like the Dutch crowd that's super spoiled. Don't take this in the wrong way, but it's just it is how it is. But we are also spoiled in Australia, where people nowadays can pick and choose where to go. And as someone that lives in the same country, people can pick and choose who to go to see, right? Unless you can sustain that and you can cater for the majority of crowd, it's a bit hard, because also life's expensive. It's not easy to go to every party every weekend in Australia, because the living expenses is super, it's heaps. It's super expensive, and just it's just costly, man. Like people are struggling at the moment. The wages not going up, but everything else pricing wise is going up. And in order for me as an artist who is in a super niche genre of music, and a niche, even more niche subgenre, which is like extra raw / raw, it's very hard for us to sustain a living in Australia. So we do have to move here if we want to pursue a full-time career within the music industry. And obviously, what better place to be than the Netherlands or Europe in general, where you have access to pretty much almost 3 to 4 events every weekend. You have the festival season, which is like super big here, starts in April, ends end of August. Then you have all these indoor events. You have all these new countries. You have all these countries now in Europe that have a scene, and it's also growing. So it's kind of like super accessible. So like if you don't have a booking in the Netherlands, you can have a booking in Spain, you can have multiple bookings in Germany, you can have, now Scandinavian countries are having more and more events. And at the end of the day, yeah, it's super competitive here, but it's easier for you to break through this scene if you know what people want. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And how does it work? For example, you're still based in Australia, right? So
yes.
When you come here, you stay here for I think at least a couple of months or something like that. So do you have like an apartment? Or my question is, like, during the days that you're not gigs, how does it work? Like, do you rent an apartment, or how's your day-by-day life?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm new to all this like touring stuff that's overseas, and this is like my second tour in this year, and overall overseas. I did have one gig last year, but just to answer your question, it's realistically like it's super expensive, and I have to like whatever the organizations that book for me is what I get. Everything else I have to pay for myself. So the food during the week, the accommodation, traveling around sometimes too, like, and for myself, like I'm super lucky to have quite a few friends that I've, this is my 10th time in Europe as like a visitor, you know what I'm saying? So I'm one of the lucky ones who have made friends that are willing to support me, and I'm super grateful for that. And one of them has been a major part of like my success and me being able to sustain myself in Europe was Imperators. So Kevin, shout out to Kevin. I'm literally sitting in his house right now. And yeah, like he's helped me as much as he can. And that really helps with the costs of, being here for, that like long of a time. But most of the time, yeah, you just have to pay for yourself, man. Like it's an investment at the end of the day, right? So I know for a fact that, yeah, I'm paying all this money this time. I'm here for 7 weeks. I was here for 3 weeks earlier to, end of May until mid-June. And yeah, like it gets costly. The longer you stay here, the more money you have to pay. So I'm just grateful that I was able to do it. And it's, like I'm not here to make money for these 2 tours. I'm just here to like kind of like spread the sound of music that we're pushing. And yeah, just make sure that I set myself up for next year, really. That's like the main goal. So whatever it takes, we have to do it.
Yeah, but that's actually... It's something that I have said a lot of times to Mexican artists. Like, if you don't come to Europe and there's another guy, Stormers. Do you know him? He's from Chile, but he's another he's another hardstyle artist. He's really good. And the way that he became more successful in Europe was by doing exactly the same as you. He paid for his own plane ticket to get to Europe, tried to find as many gigs as he could. And then he wasn't really earning money, but that paid off like on the long term. So now he comes every year and plays during the festival seasons in all the festivals,
Yeah.
So it's a good way. It's an investment that you said, and I think that more artists that want to really make it big should do that, because if you're staying in your country, which is far away from the real scene, which is Europe, it's hard to break through.
100%. And look, like this is one of the first advices I'm probably going to give in this episode, because I know there's a lot of things we're going to talk about that I can kind of give you my input. In order for you to become a successful artist, you have to be hungry, right? And not hungrier than everyone else. You need to be hungry yourself, because at the end of the day, we're in a very creative industry. And at the end of the day, I can be in my own subgenre by myself as long as people can accept my music. People are the ones who are going to pay to watch me at the end of the day. So if I don't spread my sound and invest into, making all these, like losses, in a way, I don't see it as losses. I see it as an investment. And coming to Europe or going to anywhere in the world that's willing to book you, like the thing is, it's to an extent, right? At the end of the day, you can't be extorted with all this stuff. You got to be making moves. You got to make moves that are going to invest in your future. So whatever you like do, for example, me coming here for the 3 weeks and the 7 weeks, working with my agency on getting all these bookings, it's to invest for my future for next year, because I know I had a 2-year plan. I wanted to make sure that everything goes according to plan. Some things didn't go according to plan. Some things went above and beyond expectations. And that's how you play the game, right? At the end of the day, we're all in this game. And at the end of the day, if you don't go and do these side quests in order for you to reach the final boss, like, you're never going to reach that final boss. So you have to make those sacrifices. There's a lot of traveling involved. There's a lot of money involved. You have to, be able to listen to yourself and kind of trust yourself, even when times are like super tough and you think some things are not going the way they should be. But you just got to push through and keep going according to the plan that you yourself put in place and pretty much finish what you started. Like, you can't just start something, give half effort, and then expect like the biggest return. That's my theory. Like, everything you do in life, you need to put 150%, 200%, because you never know when it's going to work. Like, these things that we do every day, you never know exactly when the right moment is that's going to take you where you are planning to go.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. And by the way, how's this festival season going? I saw you in Madrid, actually, at Nexus, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Thanks, man. It was a tough one, that one, but it worked out pretty well, man. Because I had like really bad clashes. Well, it's not bad clash. It's bad clashes for me, but like, it's good for the people. But in the same way, there's a lot of people that like had to be divided into like not 2 stages, but like 4 stages. And look, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm the new guy here, so I have nothing to say really in terms of like where organizers are going to put me and stuff. I just take what I get really. And I'm super appreciative to be on these lineups with all these big names to begin with. And it was a really good experience, man. Like, Madrid is one of the cities that I've always wanted to visit just for a holiday. But then I came as an artist as the first time of me being there. And we'll probably get into the story later. But yeah, Madrid for me has like a special place in my heart. And I can't believe I'm actually going back 2 times within like 2 months back to the same place, and I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, Nexus was amazing, man. Like, that fabric in itself, it's like something that was really shocking to me in terms of how big the place is. And, even after 2 days being there from like almost open to close, I was still like getting lost and stuff because it's a massive place. There's people everywhere, and you go into like one room, you come out, you're like, shit, like, was I even here before? Like, I didn't even know where I'm going. And
I have been going there for 6 years, and it still happens to me because they don't always open all the areas. So when they open them, it's like I get lost and I don't know where I am. I don't know how to find the place that I want to go. It's
exactly fun. Yeah. So like Friday there was 4 stages, and then I was like, okay, this is still like heaps. Like it's really hard to know where I am. Find the backstage, go behind this stage, and all this stuff. And then Saturday was 7 stages. I'm like, this is even crazier now because like there's almost more than double amount of people, and there's almost like more than double amount of the stages. And I'm just like, this is crazy. And like, yeah, just walking between, and finally I started to get the hang of it at the end. But yeah, it was just so much walking, man. So much walking, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
But overall,
huge.
Yeah, but overall, it was such a great experience, man. Like, I hope I can play there again. The event itself, it's really run really well. Production is sick. Sound system is sick. The people are super nice, man. Like, obviously every time you go to a different country, you don't know what to expect and stuff with that. Cause I'm always used to like Dutch people because I've only come to Netherlands for like, festivals, and I've went to like other countries too for festivals, but majority was in the Netherlands. So I'm kind of used to the crowd. I know what to expect, but going to like a country, especially like not many people speak English in Spain, which was a bit also difficult for me. But super nice people, man, like super energetic. Like the crowd gave it all, like from the beginning of the festival all the way to the end. Like they're just really, really like crazy.
Yeah. And how do you feel it compared to talking about the Dutch scene or the Dutch people, the Dutch crowd? Usually the parties on the Netherlands are also like this late at night, because that's something that I would know, right? Also,
no. It used to be. Okay. So it used to be. So pre-COVID, like I have been to a few overnight festivals. Like I remember, so I went to Exclusive last year, which was overnight. I've been to Hardbase, the last formation, which was also overnight. I've been to like a couple of club events, like stuff at like what's the club name? I completely forgot. It's like at the top of my mind, but it's where they have like Phoenix and stuff. It's yeah, I'll probably remember it later. But yeah, there's this club also that has multiple rooms and they have overnight events. I think Supremacy used to be overnight, but the Supremacy I've been to in 2022 was a day party. Climax also I went last year. It was overnight, so that was cool. Yeah, I've been to mostly day parties, but yeah, usually those parties that I named, that's the late parties that I've been to. But yeah, ever since COVID happened and they started to push a lot of parties like to become a bit more day. So yeah.
Okay, so my question is, so what do you prefer, like overnight parties or the parties during the day?
For me, I think a balance of both would be nice. I wouldn't want to go all the time to like night parties, but also I don't want to always go to day parties. So I like everything. So it's a bit like, it's like a nice balance is cool. I believe that each party has its own like positive and negative. Obviously with like day parties, I think transport is easier. Also like if you have work the next day or you're working the day before, it's probably easier for you too. I think also day parties are not good for some people that have like Saturday jobs or Friday jobs where they need to like go to work first, miss out half the party. Also, I think tiredness wise, you know, if you had a long day and you have to still go to a night party, it just kind of becomes a bit like, it's like based on your energy too, right? So some parties kind of like you start to feel a bit tired early on and stuff. And yeah, but I think both of them have their own perks. And I believe that a good balance of both is really healthy for the scene too, because also day parties, you can only do so much with production. I think night parties are better for like winter. Day parties are better for like outdoor, nice sunny place, summer place. Yeah. So it's yeah. I like diversity. So I like to like, enjoy a bit of everything, you know?
I mean, I like both, but as I'm getting older, I prefer the parties.
Because so I didn't want to use that point because I'm only 26 and I still don't want to make myself feel old because I still have like a lot more in me. I'm not sure how old you are, but yeah, I don't want to use the old card because yeah, you said it, not me.
No, I'm 36. I'm 10 years older. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so it feels, I don't know. It's yeah, but I mean, when I was younger, it was a lot easier, you know, to go to parties. And I think that the problem is that I always want to start during the day. So if I start, you know, like I go to maybe have lunch and start with some beers. So by the time the party comes at night, I'm kind of drunk and then I have to keep up until 6 or 7 a.m. And I'm completely dead by that time. But I always make it. So that's the thing. I always make it. But
as long as you always make it, that's the most important.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I understand. Fair point, man. Fair point. I understand.
Yeah. Okay. So I also wanted to ask you, during this season, this festival season, or during this year, what has been your favorite event?
Tough question. So, okay, let's maybe break it up into like categories, right? So probably the best festival I've played at, because it's my first, this is non-biased, right? It's just because it was my first outdoor festival booking. I believe that Entails, the boombox set, on the Friday that I played was super special because it was my first, outdoor festival booking in Netherlands. And it was super like insane because like it was a small stage. A lot of people came to see me. I didn't know what to expect. I went in like super early just to watch a few sets on that stage and just to kind of get a feel of it. And it was nice, right? It was like a super intimate vibe. But the moment I started playing, it was just like, it was raining like an hour before. And then it was still raining when I pressed play. And everyone was still there. It was packed. Everyone wearing ponchos and stuff, didn't really care about the rain. So that was like super like it gave you a lot of energy just seeing that because I don't know what to expect. I don't know if there was going to be 5 people. I don't know if people are going to go to the indoor stages because it's raining. I was like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I don't care. I'm just here to play, do what I'm, hired to do here. And then see how it goes. And then, man, like 2 minutes after I started playing, rain stops. Everyone's ponchos come off, gets thrown. Stage super packed. I was super, super grateful for it, man. Like, just seeing how everyone, knew my music. Everyone sort of had a lot of fun, screaming, energy, like people just going super hard. So that was a special moment just because it was like, Intense Festival. It was my first time there as a visitor, as an artist, my first major like outdoor festival set. That was just forever is going to have a special place in my heart. But then when I played the Rebellion 3 weeks ago, that was like next level because I was in a bigger stage. I had an early slot, so I didn't really know what to expect in terms of like, just crowd wise, because I know Dutchies, sometimes they come from the beginning, sometimes they don't. Me being an artist with like super niche music compared to everyone else on the same stage, I was like, we'll see how it goes. So I was booked to play a live set. My first live set also in Netherlands. So that again, it's a special thing because, all new music, more energetic with live sets. I had new visuals, brand new concept, brand new, it's not really a concept, but like, it's like more brand new branding. And I wanted to like sort of showcase that through this set. So it was one of the major sets that I was targeting on like showcasing as much as I can in that set. So I jump on and the whole tent is fully packed. I could not believe it again. And it's just something that like, when you see something like this, you instantly like, I just get a spark in me. Like I need to go extra harder in terms of energy. I have a lot of fun on stage, right? Whether there's 30 people or 2,000 or whatever it is, I really feed off the crowd energy. And I'm sure a lot of artists can agree to that too. So that was another special one. Also Nexus was, like I said, in Madrid, it was super cool. Being there, playing in this like huge club that's, a lot of people speak about. Many parties, many legends have played there before. So that's, yeah. And of course, shout out to all the parties that already booked me this year in Europe. Each one of them had like a special place, because, it's always the first time you do things, it's always going to be the best time you do things because depending on the experience, but just having all these people kind of like trust me and put me on those lineups and showcase my music. It's really, it's a happy feeling, you know what I mean? So every single place I played at this year, and I'm going to for the next 2 gigs, has been special in a way where like it's new people. I've never played for them. I don't know them. I don't know this country. I've been to these events as a visitor maybe. Sometimes I haven't. So it's kind of like one of those things where like you don't know what to expect. And overall, if I was to put a highlight moment, this whole two tours would highlight. And if I was going to choose something from Australia this year, I think 2 things was my first headline show at Massive, because Massive does this thing where they have like a focus night to showcase the artists and their like achievements. So I had the first night was pretty cool. I had it in February. It was, 300 people. It was really cool. People were just there. It's just knowing people are there just for you. It's really cool to see. So I get to choose the lineup. I get to bring my friends that starting out, some people that I'm close with, they can play, sets just to support me and also to showcase themselves. But the really biggest one so far this year was the show I had between the 2 European tours. So when I came back home, we planned to do another Massive show, which is another headline show. And this time it was super surprising because we wanted to do like a boiler room, kind of like, Massive has this boiler room concept. It's called the Massive Boiler Room, and we can just sort of, have the decks in the middle, and, it's more intimate. I love more intimate kind of like vibes where I'm like sort of in between the crowd, enjoying myself, because I've always wanted to like watch myself play in a way where like, so me being in the middle of the crowd, it's kind of like I'm watching myself play, but at the same time, I'm like DJing. So it has that different feeling, right? And we ended up like almost selling out. It was like close to 750 people, which is almost triple what we did 3-4 months before. And that was like a special moment in my career so far where like I'm in my home soil. I haven't even moved overseas yet. And we were able to pull off something like this in a period where a lot of people are also like in the festival season in Europe, because a lot of Aussies do travel during the festival season. Some people come here for DEFCON only. Some people come here for 3-4 months and just enjoy the festival season. Yeah.
Wow. I would love to do that. I live here in Europe and I cannot afford to be in all the festival season.
I know. I understand, man. Yeah. Sorry, I kind of went in too much in depth, but I like to explain.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, keep doing that. I want to also know what you were saying about Madrid, that it's a special place for you. Why is that?
Okay, so without people hating on me, because everyone knows this by now, so I'm a big Real Madrid supporter, right?
Oh, my God, as well. So
yeah, okay. Well, lucky. Otherwise, I know you would have kicked me out. But so basically, I've been following the club since 2003. because growing up, I'm from Iraq originally, right? So growing up in Iraq, it's either Barcelona or Real Madrid, right? That's all they know, right? So it's either people are walking with a Real Madrid jersey or a Barcelona jersey, and it's always families fighting and, you know, things like that. Or, you know, Real Madrid is this, Barcelona is this, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? So me being a Real Madrid supporter growing up, obviously, like, being able to visit the Santiago Bernabeu is just something that's like super on like the top of my list of like wish, you know, like bucket list, right? So things come sometimes without you expecting it. So when I saw the booking of me playing in Madrid, I was like, sick. I'm more excited to go to Madrid itself than actually playing. And look, I'm just being honest here. Like, it's such a special moment because these things came before music. So, right. So you always go back to your roots and what you enjoy doing before you do certain things that you're doing right now. And, I told my friends, I went with a couple of friends too. And I was like, boys, I don't care what we do. All we need to do is make sure that we are going to the stadium tour at the Santiago Bernabeu. So I made sure I'm there for 4 days. And I was like, one of those days we have to go. And we made it happen. You know, I went to the stadium, had an amazing time. I was just like a child in like a candy store, basically. You know, oh shit, this is the stadium, you know, sitting in the grandstand. I was like, you know, the only thing that was missing is actually watching a game there. But unfortunately, it's like the off season around that time. And I really regret not thinking about this properly because there's a game on Sunday. I think Real Madrid is playing Betis or Valladolid. I can't remember, but on Sunday there's a game, and unfortunately I have to fly back to Netherlands on Sunday. So I'm like, I should have planned this better, and I should have, yeah. But I didn't think about it. I didn't expect to go back to Madrid that early. But when I moved to Europe, I'm buying a season pass, and I'm like, whenever I have some time off, I'm flying to Spain just to watch a game or two, man. So yeah, that's the reason why Madrid is like it's super special for me because yeah, like growing up, it's just something that's like, as a big football fanatic, it's just super special for me.
Okay, so whenever you are here, please let me know and I will take you to some tapas and some beers.
Sounds good, man. I would love that.
Yeah, and I actually saw you at Nexus with the Real Madrid shirt, which actually says Toza. I loved it, by the way.
Yeah, I had to, man. I had to.
I love this city. It's like,
yeah,
probably.
And also to go back, the actual shirt that I wore when I was DJing, I've had that shirt for 10 years. So I had, because if you can see, it's the 2013-2014 kit, and it was customized with Toza number 7 because Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, like he's one of my favorite players, or he's my favorite player actually. It's been customized like this for the past 10 years, and it's just been sitting in a drawer. And when I got booked for Madrid, I was like, you know what? I have to wear it. It's like, it's something I have to do. It's, you know, it's like something I have to do because I stopped playing football. It's just sitting there. That's why it was so tight. You can see it. I was like 66 kilos when I had this shirt, maybe even 60 kilos. Now I'm like 90 kilos, so 30 kilos extra. I was literally dying on stage, but I was like, I'll have to wear this, even though I bought a new one, which is the black one. I bought it from the stadium. I was like, I am not wearing that. I'm wearing the one that I brought with me from like, you know, back home.
Wow. That's an amazing story. And it's actually,
yeah. So that's why a lot of people, that like Atletico Madrid, like didn't really care because there was a story behind it. So they kind of appreciated the journey and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I was there and I just thought like, okay, he's wearing the shirt because he's in Madrid and that's it. I didn't expect like there was a real story behind it.
Yeah.
It's quite awesome.
It's a cool story, man. Like, and it's at the end of the day, it's like it's from the heart, you know. Like, it's I'm not doing it just because like I'm in Madrid. Because otherwise, I would have just bought a Spanish jersey and just put my name on it. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to create conflict. But you know, I was like, it is what it is, right? So let's just create chaos.
But you choose well.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, man.
Yeah. And by the way, when are you arriving here in Madrid for Vault this weekend?
Yeah, it's this Saturday. I land 7:30 p.m. in Madrid, so a little bit late. Yeah. And I play at 2:30, and then I fly out of Madrid at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to come back to Netherlands.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah, it's a short trip because also I'm traveling by myself too. Okay. So I just wanted to. Also, I have something to do here on Sunday, so I had to really come back. I had to come back as early as possible. So yeah, that's the reason why. Otherwise, I would have, you know, again decided to probably travel a day or two before, enjoy a bit of hot hot Spanish weather and enjoy the food. The food was amazing. It's also surprisingly cheaper than any other European countries that I've been to. I don't know if it's just, I don't know if,
of any country, I think.
and I was super surprised because for such a big city, I was expecting it to be as expensive. But man, everything we bought, other than the tourist trap, like there's this place we went to for food. It's I forgot the name, but you probably know it. It's in Madrid. It's like food stalls everywhere in like a building.
Oh, Mercado de San Miguel. Yeah,
That's the one. Yeah, that's
next to Plaza Mayor. Yeah.
that's the one. So it was super expensive, but the food was amazing. So I was like, you know what? I'm happy to pay. Let's just have good food and just enjoy it. Yeah,
that's actually the thing, that it's super expensive, but the food is good. So at least you're getting something good out of it. But
exactly right.
A lot of markets that work actually the same, but are a lot cheaper because.
Okay, I need you to write me a list.
Yeah. For next time, you just have to tell me what do you like, and I will give you a list of everything.
Sounds good, man. I really appreciate it.
For 6 years, and I live in the city center, so I know everything around here.
Perfect, man. Perfect.
Yeah. And do you like to party after your gigs or something, or you're more of a quiet person afterwards?
No, man. I come in early, or depends, like how the day's looking like. But like for example, Nexus, I was there on the Friday. We arrived at like 11, which I think it opened around 10. So we arrived like 11:30, 12. Yeah, we arrived like 11:30, 12. And I'm like the kind of person who also wants to watch some sets too. So like, I like a lot of artists. I'm like, I don't just see them, like right now I'm in the scene and stuff as an artist, but I don't just see them as like colleagues. I'm also a fan of the music too. So I listen to Raw almost like every day, if not like every day, right? And I listen to other genres too. So I really like to kind of like, it's like I'm a visitor, but at the same time an artist now. So sometimes I actually get really upset if like my schedule is forcing me to like come in, play and leave, because sometimes I want to watch like this guy's live set. I want to watch this set. I want to watch that, but I don't get to see it. So yeah, I'm the type of person who usually comes a bit earlier, gets a feel of the party, see the crowd, what they're reacting to. Because it also helps me to expect what they're going to react to what I'm playing to. And the same time after my sets, usually like I'm full of adrenaline for like 5-10 minutes. And I'm like, all right, it's time to party basically. So I usually just go straight away, grab a towel because I'm super sweaty after. I grab a towel, a bit of water and maybe another Red Bull. And then I just go back to the crowd, and watch some sets, Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, what's your rider or what do you request? And I also want to ask you if you have seen some weird stuff on some other artist rider. You don't have to tell me who, but
yes,
if you have
okay. Yeah. I will answer both questions. So on my rider right now, it's super like basic. I haven't really like customized it to what I want, but I have like alcohol, Red Bulls, water, towels, some refreshments like banana and stuff. We have stroopwafels on there, so that's a funny one. It's just I was like, just put stroopwafels on it and we'll just make it funny. So every party I go to, I'm collecting stroopwafels now. So, but for me, I don't drink. So, usually the alcohol is for like any visitors that come with me or any of my friends, but I'm looking at removing that, super soon when I, discuss this with my agency. So I'm looking to get something. I have a few things in mind, but the special stuff, I'm not going to tell you because I really wanted to make it happen first. But the basic stuff, I'm going to put some like protein shakes, ginger shots, all the good stuff that make you feel good before the gig, after the gig. And, probably less Red Bull because I do drink a lot of Red Bull, and maybe just stick to like non-stimulant stuff. But yeah, it's pretty basic at the moment. As for the second question, which is any weird stuff, I think everyone probably knows this, but like I know Sigmund has like Pokemon cards on his like rider. I was actually on a gig with the Tweakers, and they had like the scratchies, like the lotto scratchies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had those because I played with them. I played with them on the Friday, and then the Saturday they had a gig elsewhere, and I went like to see it, and I found the same kind of scratch. So I kind of put one and two together that they have that as their rider, which is super funny because they buy like a $5, $2 scratchy, and if they win, they win. If they don't, they don't, right? Yeah, so that's what I can think of the top of my head, but yeah.
Okay. Also, you were telling me that before playing here in Europe, you used to come here like quite some times. You told me 10 times?
This is my 10th time in Europe, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so before that, I guess that you came here to festivals, or what was your purpose?
Just to come, because obviously you start in the scene in Australia, you see some parties and you want to get to your DEF CON, you want to go to this event, you want to go to that event, and obviously we don't have access to that, especially after DEF CON got taken away from us. So we have to, obviously now, if we want to take it to the next level, or some of the artists that we like to see that don't get booked to Australia, we have to make the travel and see them. And what better place to come to than Europe, right? So my first trip, I did, I think 7 weeks in Europe, and I went to I think five parties. I also went to Ibiza for the first time too, for 4 nights, just to check it out. But yeah, I've been to DEF CON 2 times. I've been to Drop Zone, which used to be called Hard Island when I went to, 2018, 2019. I've been to Dominator, I've been to Fatality, I've been to, there was an event, I forgot the name, but yeah, but also I went to a event at this club that I was talking about that I still don't remember the name. I went to also the Last Hard Bass. I went to Masters of Hardcore Austria. I've been to, Supremacy one time. I've been to Climax one time. I've been to Rebellion Indoor last year. I went to Exclusive Rebellion. I went to Gearbox 10 years. What else? Wow. Yeah, I've been to quite a few parties, man.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my question. Which has been your favorite one as a guest?
Okay, so first ever event has to be DEF CON, because obviously DEF CON is one of those things where there's a whole story behind it. There's a whole weekend too. At that time it was 3 days, so the gathering and then the 2 full days. So it's always something special that you want to go to the first, your first event, in my opinion, if you've never been to Europe, should be DEF CON. And mainly because there's a big story behind it. And once you unlock DEF CON, you can go wherever you want after, because everything will have its own special. But DEF CON is something that's for everyone that likes hardstyle, and it's something that everyone should do, in my opinion, because it's got a good story behind it. It's got a theme, a lot of production, a lot of stages. You can see every single genre that is within the hardstyle, even some hard techno. So yeah, you can see a lot of things, man, at DEF CON. So DEF CON is super important for you to do 100%. But if I was to pick something that made me feel super magical, has to be Rebellion Exclusive, because I'm a big Rebellion fan. And, going to that event, which is a big milestone in their career, and just seeing it from the beginning all the way to the end was something super special. And just the vibe was insane. Also, Arthur's Live is one of the best venues I've been to too, in terms of soundproofing. It's made for live music, so the sound there is insane. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And now I want to talk a little bit about your story. How did you start into music? What was your I don't know, at what age did you move to Australia?
I was 12, so it was 2010.
Okay, and did you discover hardstyle in Australia, or it was?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it was Australia. Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually when I was growing up, as obviously coming from Iraq, living in Iraq, then moving to Jordan after the war, it's I always used to listen to rap, Eminem, a lot of Eminem, Okay. So also some heavy metal too. My favorite band is Bullet for My Valentine, so that's them. Yeah. So that I've been listening to them until this day. From when I was 9 or 8 years old. I had a few cousins that were really into Metallica and stuff, and I just couldn't get into that. But I discovered the band that I liked, and that's what I got stuck to. And yeah, just a lot of rap, hip hop. And yeah, moving to Australia, also EDM, big room EDM. Back in the day, it was super big too. 2008, 2009, it started to become something. And then when I moved to Australia, same thing, same music until I was in high school. I was in year 7. I was 14 at the time. So that's when I discovered hardstyle by just listening off someone's phone, basically. One of my friends who I met through playing football with during lunchtime and stuff. He was in year 11. I was in year 7. His name is Mihailo. So shout out Mihailo. You're one of the reasons why I'm doing this at the moment. And he knows this. I always bring it up, so he knows it. He's one of my really good friends. And yeah, I started listening to hardstyle. I think he had some either Bretton Hart or Headhunters playing at that time. And he just gave me his I think it was iPod Nano Shuffle or whatever it is, the little one. Yeah. So listening to that, I really started to enjoy it even more. And at that time, Australia had like, we still have those, but not as much, but it was like under 18 parties. So it's parties where like, it's like sometimes it's multi-genre, but then eventually around like 2015, 2014, even 2013, they were booking hardstyle acts like Headhunters, Angerfish, like all these like Wasted Penguins, Code Black. Code Black was actually one of the first artists I've seen in 2012. It was literally like 10 minutes away from my house. I could literally walk there. They had like an under 18 festival, and I went to see Code Black in 2012, 2013. And that was like one of the first artists I properly saw live playing hard, like that played hardstyle. And then after that, became a big fan of music. Started to enjoy more and more artists. Around 2015, I kind of discovered like Gearbox Raw, which is like back when Regain used to release on Gearbox, back when Disturb released on Gearbox and stuff. And also like one of the things that I really saw that made me like really, really love Raw was the set from Rebellion in 2015 Indigo stage, I think, or 2016, when they played in the Container stage. And that was like their breakthrough, like kind of how like my boombox kind of set. That's kind of like what I can relate it to. And it was that set that went on YouTube. People were recording videos and stuff. And that's what made me like, oh, what's this? Then I started, obviously they released Uprising, and I started listening more and more to that and became a really big Gearbox fan. So like, I've basically been listening to Gearbox since 2015. So almost 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, after that, I turned 18 in 2016. And the first place I went to was Massive. It's literally, my birthday was on Thursday. 2 days later, I'm at Massive. Started going there often, almost every week. At that time, I was also in year 12. So it was a bit of a rough period because I was still going through my exams and stuff to go. And that was in July. And then October was my final exam. So I kind of like went for a bit, then stopped going for like until I finished school. And then after school, just boom. Every week I was going to any event I could go to. Hardstyle. I was also listening to trance at that time too, but I couldn't really get to it. It's super boring. No offense.
I like it.
But yeah, it's like, yeah, I just couldn't get to it and get into it as much. So yeah, hardstyle was something for me like really special. And then 2017, one of my friends had like ex-DJ RX. So his name is Liam. He's also a producer, CV, does up-tempo now. So I started like going to his house, and, he had decks, and we started like learning. I asked him to teach me how to mix and stuff. And then we started like live streaming on Facebook, just putting a phone there, just not knowing what I'm doing, but it was fun. And then I ended up buying my own decks, and then I started practicing again from my bedroom. I would just put my camera on, live stream some stuff, and just me DJing and stuff. Then obviously SoundCloud started to happen, upload some mixes, blah, blah, blah. And then me being someone who was going to Massive a lot of times and like obviously grew a relationship with the organizers and stuff. I think it was the day before DEF CON, 2017, where they always have this like pre-party thing where it's not really a pre-party, but just a meeting where like artists come in, do some signing sessions, they sell some merchandise the day before DEF CON. And one of the organizers, Sway, asked, I was like, Sway, like, can I get a gig at Massive anytime soon? And he was like, look, I might have something tomorrow because the closing act on the second stage, it's the after party after DEF CON. He might not make it, so I'll possibly have a spot available. Can you do me a favor and hand out those flyers? Because he had like a bunch of flyers and he needed to go. And it was for the pre-party. So can you just help me hand out those flyers? I was like, sure, no problem, as long as you just book me for the booking tomorrow. But it was a joke, of course. So I helped him out and stuff like that. And yeah, he was like, yeah, you can play tomorrow. The set time, I think, was 3 to 4 in the morning. So I'm there at DEF CON, super excited. I'm like, hurry up, finish, I want to go. So my friend ended up driving me to Massive, dropped me off there. I went and played to 3 people on the side stage. I still had so much fun because it was practice, and then they ended up booking me for like the next week, then the following week. And then I started to get practice and get the hang of it. And at that time, I was playing like that type of raw that I really wanted to listen. And that was one of the reasons why I started DJing, is because in Australia, we had like, at that time, it was like the new style, euphoric stuff. Most of the time, this raw was a bit risky to come to Australia because, it's something new. And always, whenever something new is in Europe, it takes a bit of time to reach other places.
To settle in.
Exactly right. So I started DJing. There was only like me and a couple of other DJs that really pushed that style of raw. And eventually we started to see like people really enjoy it or react to it. A lot of times the gigs started to become a bit more full. More people started listening to it. And more DJs started to get booked slowly to come to Australia based on like what the reaction started to happen. And yeah, that was like, we're probably at 2018 now. And then 2019, just before COVID, I was like, okay, maybe I should start like having my own music now, because I've started to play all these gigs and stuff. And especially after playing back to back, I played back to back with Enderex at the very first Knockout Outdoor in Melbourne. And we opened the Raw stage, hour and a half, super nice set. We had so much fun. And after that, like, I just thought I really need to start pushing something more to make something out of this, right? So at that time, after I came back from Europe, we played that gig in December. Then I started to look into like production, and I enrolled in a music course, like a electronic music production course, to learn how to produce and sort of study it while also working full time. So I was like studying full time, working full time, which was like 3 days of class. I was working night shift, and like my shift would start 7 p.m. to 3 in the morning. And I had to be in class at 9 in the morning, and the class was in the city. I had to like take public transport there about an hour. So like those nights, 3-4 hours sleep is like all I could get. Go to class, it was like another 8 hours, and then come back straight away to work. So I tried to make my timetable as like efficient as possible, where I would study on Mondays, have half a day, go to work, and then Wednesday, Thursday, I have 2 days, which is the lack of sleep stuff, and then I should be okay. It was tough at the beginning, then it was a bit getting better. I started skipping some classes too, because I just couldn't do it anymore. Like I had to catch a train and busy hours straight to work. It was a bit tough, right? But then COVID happened. So when COVID happened, everything kind of like started to get really intense. My job was one of the only jobs that kept working during COVID, and my hours started to become, because I work at Australia Post, and it's like, it's a logistics. So when everyone's at home ordering all this stuff online, the demand for us was super high. We were a very critical job. The hours started to go up. So I started to work 13 hours a day, and also like 7 days a week. So I was also working weekends. So I just couldn't study anymore, man. I was like, look, and also thinking about that, I'm like, why should I invest in something that just proved to me that it's not going to go anywhere because of COVID? And if I was also a producer or like, someone established, I would have had no income and I had to find a job. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should just focus on the job I have now and excel in that. So I completely forgot about music. 2 years, I was working my ass off. I was working so hard. I became an acting supervisor after like 3 months. Then after 20 months, I ended up becoming appointed in the position. And I was hungry for more and like just wanted to move up in the company. So I was 23 at the time, already an appointed supervisor, just super, super good for my age. Like no one really around that age gets that job. It's a very high critical thinking job, and there's a lot of responsibility. And I'm really grateful the right people gave me the right drive and push. And that was like what was the main thing at that time, is my focus was all on that. And then once COVID, kind of like faded away, music started to come slowly again. I started to play some gigs also during COVID, we had like some live streams illegally. We used to go to like a warehouse and have like a live stream. And we also used to have like our own private parties in like a warehouse and just enjoy it. And then we used to have sit down parties because some restrictions started to go a little bit lower and a bit more relaxed. We had some sit down parties, which is the most like stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, where like you're allowed to have like a sit down party. So you're allowed to go to a club and have to sit down and you can listen. You know what I mean? Like it was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, where like you're allowed to have people sitting down listening to music, but you can't have them standing up, or you have to have a mask, or anyways, I'm not going to get into that rubbish, right? That was the dumbest period of humankind, life, I just couldn't believe it, right? And then once that faded away again and normal parties started to happen, my love for like DJing started to come back again. But at that time I was in too deep with my job, and like, obviously that was the only income. I made some stupid financial, decisions while I was working, buying like an expensive car, not really expensive car, but like buying an S15, which is a Silvia. I don't know if you know much about cars. It's like a Nissan Silvia. It's like more like a drift car. And then pumping everything in cash I had into this stupid car. And without thinking, I'm like, yeah, I've been working so hard. I want to, sort of treat myself, but it's the worst thing I've ever done in my life. But I learned a lot from this experience. So I put myself in a lot of debt. So that even put me in a more position not to go back to music at all, because I have to work and sustain paying my debts off that I just made And I really needed to pay that off. So I was like, okay, how can I make this work in terms of music? And I was looking for a ghost producer, right? So I started looking for a guest producer. Obviously, me thinking straight away, I need to go for a Dutch person, blah, blah, blah. I asked a few artists, and, you know, they were just too busy, or they wanted to charge me a lot of money, which I didn't see the value of at that time, because I have no name to myself at that time. And I don't see it working unless I can make something out of it. It's ridiculous, right? I'm not going to get pumped so much money into that.
And for example, how much do they usually charge for us?
Okay, so let's put it this way. One person asked at that time, I'm saying this is like 2020 or 2021, they asked me for like 1,000 euros for a track, or 5 tracks for 4,000 euro. I'm like, how can I even guarantee that I'm going to get anything out of this? Like, it's ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. But look, at the end of the day, business is business. No disrespect to them or anything. It just, for me, was a bit ridiculous at that time, especially with my financial situation. So I was like, okay, maybe I should just completely give up on music and just focus on work and playing whatever gigs I get. Like, the passion started to fade away. I still love the music, but as an artist, I just couldn't really think of it this way. Then 2022, July, I was DJing at Massive. I was playing after Sick Mode. At that time, I was just a DJ, so I could play anything I want. So sometimes I get booked to play a raw set, sometimes I get booked to play an up-tempo set. So at that specific night, I got booked to play up-tempo. So, and at that time, you know, like, if you don't have your own music, at least you need to DJ a bit professionally and become, you know, do some tricks and this and that. Like, it's not really, you have to have something to show for to become better than the other just DJ. You know what I mean? So track selection, DJing, you know, mixing really tight and everything like that. That was the thing to become something other than a producer, right? So at that night, I had 2 friends, which are like, I'll get to how the relationship is. Someone that was watching me decided to send me an email because, you know, as an artist, you want to look a bit professional. You have the DJ Toza at outlook.com just to, you know, hope for one day that you're going to get a booking from somewhere. and then you have that just to look a bit more professional on your bio and Instagram. So I got an email from someone, and obviously, like, because it's a fresh email and hardly gets used, everything goes to spam. So I got a DM on Instagram. Hey man, I just sent you an email. Can you please check it? I would really love for you to do this. Get an email, read it, found it in my spam. It's a birthday party booking, right? Okay. Mind you, I hate doing birthday parties because I don't like playing anything other than hardstyle or up-tempo or anything to do within the electronic genre. Yeah. Don't tell me to play R&B. Don't tell me to play anything super soft. But I was like, you know what? This guy seems to be super, super nice. Like, I was like, let me just I'll take it. So I decided, he's going to probably laugh when he sees this. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw a really high number for the booking. And then if he accepts it, I'll do it. If he doesn't, I don't feel bad because he didn't want to book me, right? So I was like, all right, I'll charge 150 per hour. You want me for 6 hours? Let's just do $900. I know your budget is 1,000, but let's just do 900. Me a bit, you know, a bit of room for not looking like a greedy person, right? And he accepted. So I was like, man, like, this guy's crazy. Unless he's like super crazy or he knows that maybe it is worth how much. So I asked him, like, bro, why did you accept? He was like, well, I DJ at clubs, I DJ house parties. That is the normal rate for a DJ. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I guess let's just do it then. I should have probably charged more, but who cares? Let's just do it. So he was like to me, look, man, I will load up the USBs for you. You just come and play. I have the decks, I have the equipment, everything. I already have everything at home. I just want you specifically to come and play. I was like, okay, cool, perfect, let's do it. And then during that was in July. So I accepted. We made a deal. His birthday was in October. And at that time, you know, I started to like become more like there was more conversations happening between me and this guy. So by the way, this guy is Stratosphere DJ. He's Connor Stratus from Australia. He's one of up and coming producers too. Probably one of the best kick makers in the scene at the moment, and also has like super, super creative, you know, like ear for music. And, yeah, so back to the story. We became friends. At that time, he was making like gym hardstyles. So he was sending me like all these SoundCloud links to music. And I was like, bro, this is actually a really good quality music. Like and it had like 3.7 million, 3.5 million. I was like, who's this guy? This guy's bigger than me. Yeah, I was like, who's these guys? So I was like, at that time, I was at Supremacy in Australia, like around that period. Supremacy in Netherlands around that period. So I was showing my friend, I was like, bro, look at this music. It's pretty good. Like, it's not bad, right? I was like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. Maybe you should speak to them about making music together and stuff. I was like, whatever. If it happens, it happens. Let me just play his booking at the thing, at his birthday and stuff. And yeah. So I ended up going to his booking and played. It was amazing party. Really nice house. Parents are absolutely amazing people. It was just a kind of family and friends party. It wasn't too crazy, right? And he's Greek, so there was a lot of plate breaking and stuff like that. So I had to play some Greek music too. So yeah, it was really cool. And then at that same night, I met another person who was really close with him, who they met through making music too. And then they become friends of Discord and Jim Hardstyle. They were making music together, basically, right?
Okay.
So I met the other person who's currently my co-producer. His name is formerly known as Mazza, DJ Mazza, and now he's Strictly Business. So now he produces as Strictly Business. Sorry, I'm just plugging my phone in charger.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically that's what happened. So I met the guy, very shy guy, like he wasn't really talkative and stuff. So I was like, boys, I wanna, like, obviously, where do you guys live? I know Connor lives because I'm already at his house. So, and then the other person lived 20 minutes from my house. So I was like, perfect. What are you guys doing next weekend? Let's meet up, and let's just talk about music. So we meet up. I start speaking to them about music. I was like, okay, boys, I can see like there's a lot of potential in your music, and I don't believe that you guys should be just bedroom producers. So, what are your goals? What are you guys looking for? Like, what do you want out of this music thing? And they're like, oh, one day we want to play here. We would love to play a massive. We would love to, oh, look, boys, I can help you with all these things because I'm like 6 years in the scene already. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of my network is amazing. I was flexing my WhatsApp contacts. Here is this artist. Here is this number, blah, 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 blah. So it kind of like, we kind of built like a relationship through that. And, then that same day, I was like, okay, well, let's open up FL Studio and let's start working on something, see what we can do. So that day, we started working on music and we kind of created like, So Right, which is one of my tracks, right? One of my tracks with the other two boys, DJ Mazza and Stratosphere. And we made like a quick playable concept. And I was like, boys, maybe I can get this played at next weekend, which is, at that time, there was like it was the Down Under Dose, which was Rebellion's Halloween show in Australia, where they played the first dose for the first time in Australia. It was like a very dedicated 2,000 people, and I had some friends that were playing on the lineup. So shout out Tim Dawes, one of my colleagues from Australia and a good friend of mine for a very long time now. I sent him the track. I was like, bro, if I send you a track, would you be able to play it? Just like, you know? He was like, yeah, I actually like this. I possibly can play it. So he played it. He let me go on stage with it. And yeah, that's when I saw the crowd react, posted a video, of the track. And on social media, it was probably the highest like post I had. I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something here that there's something here. You know what I mean, like we can do something with this. Then I spoke to Mazza and I was like, look, Mazza, would you be keen to help me make music? Like co-production. I'll give you whatever ideas I've written and whatever ideas I get. And maybe we can work something out. We can try new things. We can experiment with this. And I'll pay you something, within my budget at the moment. And he accepted, and we started to make a couple of, songs together. And, you know, one of them was in one day we made the very first version of Freak Show, which was, supposed to be an opening track. And we made Heroin that day too, which is one of the biggest tracks, at the moment on my Spotify, right? Yeah. And both of them were made in one day. The first concept of Heroin was the one that like stayed there, never been touched. But Freak Show, which was at that time the chamber of Toza at that time, because I like Harry Potter and we were just like,
I love Harry Potter.
Yeah. So actually, no, Freak Show was just an opener. It was I can't remember exactly the concept, but yeah, it started as an opening track for Carnival, which is a booking that I had in Melbourne in 2023. And then we started making all these songs together. And then, when I was here at Supremacy, I asked Rebellion, I was like, by the way, I didn't even make music before or nothing. I was like, boys, are you the guys on exclusive? Just tell me. Cause if you are, I'm going to book my flights. I want to come and watch you guys like play, because this is a really, really big moment in your career and I want to be there for it. And they're like, oh, we can't really say it. I was like, okay, thank you. You just gave me the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when people say, oh, we can't really say it, it's a yes. So as soon as I got home, I booked my flight, and then I met like the boys that I'm making music with. Okay. And then fast forward to where I was at the story, 2 weeks before exclusive, because like Rebellion wanted to support heroin, Dimitri wanted to support heroin. So I was like, okay, maybe we have something here that is credible now. We can actually sort of ask and shoot the shot to ask for like remixes and this and that. So I asked about, you know, making a remix for Rebellion, and I was like, look, if would I be able to? And if you like it, we can play an exclusive in 2 weeks. They were like, look, it's your risk to take. If we like it, we like it. If we don't, no hard feelings. I was like, look, I didn't even expect this answer. I was expecting a no. So like, cool. He's like, okay, what track do you guys want to remix? And I was like, well, I haven't really thought that far, so just give me like 5 minutes to think about it. So my favorite album is Empire. It's even the wallpaper of my laptop for the past, ever since the album came out in 2018. It's still my wallpaper. It hasn't been changed. I'm not going to change it. So I was like, okay, I was scrolling down Empire. I was like, this is my favorite album. Let's speak. I was like, okay, this track I like, but it's been remixed. This has been edited, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, Wall of Death. I want to do this track. I had a really cool idea and concept in my head. Let's try and make it work, right? So what happened was, they said, are you sure? I'm like, okay, yes, 100% sure. Okay, we'll send you some stems, something to work with soon. So I'm like sitting there waiting for a week. Waiting for a couple of days for the stems. Like, hey, like, what's happening with the stems? Can we get it? We're running out of time. So they finally sent something to work with. And yeah, we sat down in the studio. We're like, all right, this is like one of the biggest moments in our life. And we started working on the track. The first day I sent something. They're like, this is really cool. Keep going. I was like, okay, cool. We finished the track in 23 hours, like working hours. So which was like 2 days worth of work, right? So like I said, Omar, which is Mazza, is one of the most talented producers, one of the most, you know, like, and mind you, he was producing at that time on like 2 Logitech 30 euro speakers and a computer that's about to blow up because the RAM is like getting abused, which were like when he needed to produce, he had to like extract stems and then go to a different project and then continue working. That's how bad like the PC was, right?
Wow.
Yes. And we used to lag a lot and stuff. So we were lucky there was a studio also that my friend had in his warehouse that we used. So we also had access to nice like speakers and stuff to work on this remix. And also one of my friends, Alterno, which is another DJ from us, he was lending us some of his, like he had like Genelecs and stuff. So we had access to some nice gear, right, to make this track. Yeah. Sent them the concept. They're like, this is amazing. We like it. Don't touch it. I was like, is there anything you want to change? Is there any feedback? Anything to do with mixing? They're like, no, do not touch the track anymore. This is perfect. So I still have, back then we were on Google Drive. So I still have the link for Google Drive with the first draft. And then that's where they're like, the one that they said yes. And it's exactly the same track. So we send it to them. And then I was like, all right, now I just have to be there and wait if they're going to play it or not. So I arrived to exclusive. We're like, obviously, first I hear Heroin getting played. And then I was like, okay, that's the first track of the night to be played, that we, you know, like produced. And then now I'm just waiting for they were like, oh, we're going to play this on the second dose set. I was like, are you serious? Like, this is insane. Like, I couldn't believe it until I heard it, right? Fast forward, we meet up. They're like, bro, this track that you guys made is going to kill someone because it's super heavy, super hard. And we were super worried to play it because it's really, really heavy. So I was like, okay, cool. Thank you, I guess. I'm really flattered. Like, you know, this is something that I couldn't process. Until this day, I still can't process it, right? The track gets played. The reaction is amazing. I could see people at that time was a bit divided. People didn't like Zard kicks. People love Zard kicks. So it was like some people like, some people were like, you know, like really going hard to it. And no one knew who I was in the crowd. I had 2 people recognize me, which was surprising for me. And just being in a crowd full of like 7,000 or 8,000 people, don't even know who I am. I'm the only one kick rolling to the track because I knew it. They're like, who's this guy? It must be their friend or something that he heard the track before. Yeah. Anyways, fast forward 6 months later, they kept playing the track. People started to kind of put one and one together slowly. That is, it is our remix. And Intense is when it kicked off. From that one video that someone was standing at the stand, took a video of all the rainbow lasers, and that's when the track started to get a lot of like hype because that video went viral. on TikTok, on Instagram, Reels, and people were asking, what's this track? And then people started commenting that knew, oh, this is the Toza remix. And then people started to know who like Toza is basically. But prior to that, like I had a collab with the Dark Horror. I had a collab with, a couple of collabs with Strictly Mazza and Stratosphere. And we had like played a few shows. I was still starting to grow on TikTok too. Like people knew my tracks and stuff, whoever was like following me at the time. So like, it's kind of like it happened both ways where I was already working really hard to grow my brand. And then also like the Rebellion, remix helped me quite a lot to just kind of cement everything in together, and like everything snowballed and had like that nice effect. And then pretty much, after that, like at that time I was starting to get more bookings in Australia, a little bit, more interstate bookings, which was like kind of like, to us, it's an international booking if you get booked in a state that's an hour and a half flying from you. You know what I mean? So played in Melbourne, for No Sleep Entertainment. I started to get bookings for like Brisbane, Perth, also played Perth in June. And that's when everything started to sort of get better. Also, I recruited one of my best friends, Ben, which is Bigson, the guy I spoke about before, who never recorded hardstyle, to start recording me at my gigs because I wanted to work with him. I know he's talented, and he didn't really like do hardstyle at all. He was recording like trance, with trance. He was just putting a camera on a gimbal, walking around, some cinematic shots and stuff. Nothing crazy. I was like, bro, if you want to, like, let's work together. All you have to do is shake, zoom with the camera. And bro, honestly, this is probably going to be really great, right? So he started doing that, the shake, zoom. And then, we started to create content, and he's really creative. So he always wants to try like something new. And like, oh, let's do a recap. Let's do like a pre-show, post-show. Let's do some record. Like he always wanted to put extra effort for like minimal pay because he knew I was starting, he's starting, and like I was paying him whatever he asked me for, but it's within my budget too. At that time, like I said, I was in a lot of debt, and I'm super grateful. A lot of people were willing to invest in me at the beginning and trust like the vision behind it. And they just wanted to like help me, and by also in return I was helping them with everything I was able to help them with. It was just like my network, access to other artists, like the boys getting some bookings and stuff like that, meeting their favorite artists, like simple things that to me it's not big because I've been doing it for a very long time, but to them like it means a lot, right? And sometimes look, it's not everything is about money. Like going back to what we were saying before about like investing in yourself and moving, going to like Europe and having a tour and this and that, just to grow your name bigger. Like played the shows, Rebellion remix, and everyone started to like, message online, please release it, and everything. I had no idea when it was going to get released. All I knew it was possibly going to go on the album, and then I found out it was going to go on the album, but I still didn't know when. And then I got a request, because back then I was with an agency who's run by a friend of mine who's also I grew up with basically, and he wanted to start his own agency. I was like, okay, I'll be your first artist. Let's work on this together. And we got a request from a Dutch booking to book me, which was super insane for me and surprising because that was like June 2023 last year, and then the booking was for November. And I was like looking at my friend, I was like, bro, is this serious? Like, is this actually happening? And they offered us a nice fee, which was enough to like cover a lot of things, which I was super grateful for. And like shout out to Darkside Events, Lex and Willem from Darkside, who really had a trust in me to bring me out. Because they could have picked any like artist here that they probably would have paid the same amount, if not less, and still had probably the same reaction. But they were willing to like give someone new a chance, and I was super grateful for it. So there was a lot of back and forth, and between me and my friend, and just getting that booking. But once it got confirmed, I was super happy. Booked my flights. I got Ben with me too. I was like, Ben, I have some spare Amex points and stuff, so let's use that. I'll buy you a flight. Come with me. At the time, he said no. But then I was like to him, bro, we can also get a Climax. We can go to Rebellion Outdoor. You can also work there. He started to see, okay, maybe this is a good opportunity for him too. And I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So we did it. Flew all the way here. Also, my friends Mazza and Stratosphere also flew with us too. And then they ended up applying for submitting a mix for the DJ contest at the same party that I played at. And they ended up winning. So we all had our first European debut together, right? Yeah. So my debut, the boys' debut, they played back to back. also Ben's debut recording at a Dutch fest, like the Dutch event. So we all kind of like had our key moments together, right? And then yeah, pretty much after that, at that time also I had some like agencies hit me up, and you know, we had some meetings during that same trip with quite a few agencies, and like shout out to all of them for you know, giving me the opportunity to visit all these legendary like offices and stuff that a lot of big artists play for, and and they are signed by them, and it was amazing. It was just such an amazing experience just to see everything slowly starting to like flow nicely together. And from the beginning, I was super open about like working with Mazza. Like I didn't try to hide it. And yeah, at the end of the day, like, look, there's a lot of artists who get help from other producers. Some of them hide it, some of them don't. That's completely up to them. I just wanted from the beginning to be open about everything I do. Didn't want to claim anything to be like mine. All I claim is like most of the ideas are mine. Once Mazza started to like understand my workflow and the creativity, he started to also put some ideas. His creative input started to become more and more involved in the tracks, and also he leveled up his production skills to be able to cater for anything really that's Toza brand wise, and I'm super grateful for that. And yeah, moving on to like that trip, finished that trip, went back home, and also that year I played at Knockout Outdoor, which is the biggest hardstyle festival in Australia. So shout out to HSU, Pete Finney, for like giving me this opportunity to play my first ever live set. With also I got the opportunity to bring MC Pez, who's one of my really good friends. He MC'd my set. We got this outfit together and stuff, and you know, we built this whole set together, and it was such a like magical feeling too. It was like one of the most special moments in my career so far, where I played in Sydney at the biggest festival on what's starting to shape up to be one of the most iconic stages, which is the Pit. I don't know if you've heard about the Pit. It's the 10th stage in Knockout, most dedicated crowd you can ever fucking hear. People were screaming from the beginning all the way to the end to every single artist. I had a really packed stage at 3 p.m., which is half an hour after the festival opened. Everyone was there. It was such a magical moment. We had this amazing concept, brand new visuals. At that time, they could outfit music, brand new music, you know, everything was amazing, bro. Like crowd just screaming all night. And yeah, so now it's like around December, just selling it in. Now we started to be a bit more serious about what we do. Played a couple of like really nice shows in Australia, a lot of massive events. We played a new event, Harder Industries. Like, you know, we're playing everywhere now. Like everywhere, people wanted to book more and more, and you know, it was nice. But then I felt like it was time to slow down a bit in Australia, because I feel like, because I'm like we said, going back to, from Sydney, people will get bored super quickly. It won't be enough value for me and the promoters to like sort of book me, and you know, I'm not getting paid enough. Promoters are not getting what they deserve from me. So I started to talk to people like, let's slow it down. Let's start just playing maybe once every 6 weeks or 8 weeks in Sydney, just so we can have more time to create more music, make it a bit more special, and get paid more. Because at the end of the day, like if you dilute yourself and make yourself less special, you're never going to get paid more, because it's not how things should be. And at the end of the day, like you're an artist, the event organizers need to make money too. And for you to work together and wanting to get paid more, you should invest more in yourself and provide a product that's able to make money for the promoter, and also you're happy with the money you're getting paid, right? And you know, like we worked out a deal with everyone, and it worked out pretty well, because what we wanted started to happen, and it was good. And then obviously I ended up picking an agency at that time, and they started, I gave them dates, because obviously I work full time, so I can only take so much off work. And I said, look, here is dates, work with it however you want. Let's make this happen. We had to change the dates around and stuff, because we were expecting to get some sort of bookings, and that didn't work out. So we're like, all right, let's just use it as like a period time and not a specific time. Let's use it as like, okay, I have 8 weeks to use. Let's use that. Tell me which weeks you want me to put it where, and then I'll speak to my work and make it work out. So we ended up getting the first 3 weeks, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to go back home then, because it's not worth me staying for 5 weeks with no bookings, and then come back again for more bookings. And that was like the most efficient, and it saved us a lot of money. And also like I need to also work and make money at home too. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we ended up working on this tour for the past 6-7 months. We've been just getting all these bookings confirmed. Some bookings were close to confirming, didn't happen. It's completely fine, I understand. And then we ended up making 14 sets, like 14 specific shows. And that was like super good for me because I'm really grateful. I didn't expect that much. And they were all really like good bookings. Like I could not have asked for anything better, right? For the first time, second time touring in Netherlands, it was amazing. And all around Europe too. Didn't expect to play at Fabric, but it happened. Didn't expect to play at Intense, it happened. And also like Rebellion was one of the first bookings that we confirmed. So I was like sick, like this is going to be good. They also asked me to do a live set. We put in a lot of work into this live set and it paid off. And then, yeah, now we're here. So I still have 2 more shows and it's been a lot of stress, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of like, you know, with creative stuff, you just sometimes feel like things are not worth it. Things are not working out the way you want it to be. But I'm just lucky enough to have a good bunch of friends around me that are really supportive. And I try to be as good as I am to them too, and try to push them to be the best of their best version of themselves, and just basically, you know, create things from nothing. Like, right, I always try to push as much as I can. And when I start something, I never want to like half finish it. I want to just continue until it's completely like finished. That's why we go back to the podcasting. It's still unfinished business. I'm sure one day we'll make it work. But yeah, I'm the type of person who, when I start something, I have to finish it. And, you know, this 2-year plan that we put in place, it's all starting to come, and we started to feel it now after a year and a half. We're starting to feel that, okay, there is something. All the work and stress and like late nights, and it's paying off now after a year and a half. And there's still a lot more work to do because I still have 6 months in Australia. I need to work my ass off to be able to save enough money to move here. It's a completely, you know, different thing for me, moving country for the 4th time, because like I moved from Iraq to Jordan to Australia. And now this is the toughest time of my life where I need to actually leave my parents, I need to leave my sister, I need to leave my job, which is really well paid. Like I can't complain, and be able to start this thing that continue this thing that I've started with my friends. And it's not even just my work. I can't waste their work too, because they've worked a lot, like hard into themselves, into myself, and they look up to me as much as I look up to them. And I really can't disappoint. And I have to make this work, right? It's not an easy step in my life. But here we are. I'm 26. I'm only getting older. And if I don't take these risks now, then who knows what's going to happen in the next few years, right?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that was really, really an amazing story. I loved it.
Yeah.
Sadly, now I have to end this, but I will ask you to have maybe another part in a few months. I'd like to know how everything is working out in a few months. Maybe
that was good, man.
Have a second part so we can talk a lot of things that I still wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for taking too much time too, because it's
amazing. I love this. Really, I'm really sad because I have to leave now. But
of course, no, all good, man.
I'm just gonna ask you one question.
Tell me.
Which is, how would you like to be remembered in the hardstyle scene?
All right, so okay, that's a really good question, bro. I want to be remembered as someone who has been, like, you know, has made an impact on someone, right? Whether it's through music, whether it's through just a personal interaction, whether it's through like a joke we crack together. I want to be remembered as a person that has helped someone through something in their life, right? And that's like the biggest thing in me. It's like I always want to make an impact in someone's life. So if I was to use it in the hardstyle scene, I just want to prove to everyone that anyone can do this if you put your mind into it. And if you put a lot of effort into it, you can make it, and you can base it on anything in life, right? If you put your effort into something and you stick to it and you trust yourself, you really can make anything out of nothing, right? And I just want to be an example to people that, like, you know, I don't want to restrict myself. So I want people to stop putting restrictions on themselves. And I want people to have more trust in themselves. A lot of creative people have trust issues with themselves. I really would love, through me, like what I'm doing, I could be an example of how can someone like create, you know, just be able to live their dream. So I want to be a case study basically for people, right? And like, you know, just everything I've done maybe only works for me, but also some people can learn a few things to be able to go ahead with their journey. And that's really what it is, man. I want to just be that guy that like everyone knows in terms of like as a person, not just as an artist. That's pretty much it. I hope that made sense, because like, you know,
it does.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
It was really a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you so much, man. And definitely we need to do the second part, man. I really would love to do this again. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So maybe we can check out whenever you're in Australia. Just let me know what times you have available, and we have to do this.
Sounds good, man.
We have to do
Sounds good, man. We'll make it work, man. No problem. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it for all your time. And I mean, you're amazing. I love your music, and I hope that everything still gets working out. I know it will, and you have an awesome future ahead.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and shout out to everyone that's going to listen to this. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone for watching this, and please subscribe to my channel. Ciao, ciao.